Our entire world is just vibrating with sound, right? From a tiny whisper to a massive rock concert. But have you ever really stopped to think about what sound is? Well, today we're going to do just that. We're breaking down the physics, all the way from a simple little vibration to the feeling of hearing your favorite song.
It really all boils down to this one question. How does something purely physical, like a guitar string wiggling back and forth, turn into something we experience with so much emotion? It seems like magic, but it's pure physics. And to get it, we have to start with the sound wave itself.
So at its heart, a sound wave is what's called a mechanical wave. And all that means is that it needs stuff to travel through. It has to have a medium, whether that's air, water, or even a block of steel. This is the big reason why in movies, space battles should be totally silent. No air, no medium, no sound. Simple as.
Okay, so we know sound needs a medium, but what is actually happening in that medium? How is the sound moving? Let's dive into the mechanics of the wave.
I want you to picture a slinky, or a line of dominoes. When you push one end, you see a wave of energy travel down the line, right? Sound is kind of like that, but with air particles. A speaker cone pushes forward, and it squishes the air particles together into a little high-pressure zone. We call that a compression. Then, as it moves back, it leaves a gap, a low-pressure zone, called a rarefaction. And that's it. That repeating pattern of squish and stretch, compression and rarefaction, that is the sound wave moving through the air.
Now, what that sound is traveling through makes a huge difference in how fast it goes. In the air around us, a sound wave cruises at about 340 meters per second. But move it into water, where the particles are way closer together, and it zips along at 1,500 meters per second. And in solid steel, an absolutely lightning-fast 5,000 meters per second. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. The closer the particles are, the faster they can pass that little vibration along to their neighbor.
So we've got speed down, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. Every single sound wave has its own unique fingerprint, a few key properties that define what it is. So let's, dissect one.
And it turns out all those properties are tied together by this one super elegant formula. The speed of the wave equals its frequency times its wavelength. It might look simple, but this little equation is basically the secret code to understanding how any sound wave works.
All right, let's actually try it out. Let's say we've got a sound with a frequency of 500 hertz. That's 500 vibrations a second, and its wavelength is 0.68 meters. You just plug them into the formula, multiply 500 by 0.68, and what do you get? 340 meters per second. Hey, that number sounds familiar, right? It's the speed of sound in air. The math lines up perfectly with the real world. So cool.
Okay, this is where it all comes together. We've been talking about waves and particles and formulas, but how does any of that stuff turn into the music and noises we actually hear? Let's bridge that gap between the physics and our own perception.
And honestly, it's a surprisingly direct translation. The wave's frequency, how fast it's vibrating, is exactly what our brain interprets as pitch. A really high frequency sounds like a high, shrill whistle. A low frequency is a deep bass drum. And at the same time, the wave's amplitude, which is basically how much energy it's carrying, is what we hear as loudness. A huge amplitude is a loud sound, a tiny amplitude is a quiet whisper. It's that simple.
Now that we've got the basic building blocks, let's see what happens when these sound waves go out into the wild and start bouncing off of stuff.
Okay, picture this. You're out hiking in the mountains. Yell hello at a big cliff face, and a second later, you hear it come right back at you. That echo is just your sound wave hitting the cliff and reflecting back. But here's the cool part. We can actually use that echo to figure out how far away the cliff is.
So let's say you time it, and it takes 0.6 seconds to hear your echo. We know the speed of sound is 340 meters per second. If you multiply those two numbers, you get 204 meters. But, and this is the key, that's the total distance the sound traveled, all the way to the cliff and all the way back. So to get the actual distance to the cliff, you just have to chop that number in half, 102 meters away. Pretty neat?
But of course, not everything reflects sound like a hard rock wall. Soft, squishy materials do the exact opposite. They absorb sound. This is why an empty room sounds so echoey and loud, but once you put in some thick curtains, a big rug, or acoustic foam, it gets much quieter. The sound wave's energy literally gets trapped in all those soft fibers instead of bouncing back at you.
All right, now for what I think is one of the most mind-bending parts of all this. Most of the sound that's happening around us all the time is completely silent to our ears.
It turns out our human hearing is stuck in a pretty narrow little window.
Any sound vibrating slower than about 20 times per second, what we call infrasonic, is too low for us to hear. Think of the deep rumbles elephants make. And anything vibrating faster than 20,000 times per second is ultrasonic, and that's too high. We can only hear that slice right in the middle.
Yeah, this number right here, 20,000 hertz, that's pretty much the ceiling for us. And what's wild is that for animals like bats or dogs, our ceiling is just their starting point. Their world is full of high-pitched information that we are completely oblivious to.
But being clever humans, we've figured out how to harness these sounds we can't even hear. We use ultrasonic waves for medical imaging to see inside the human body, no surgery required. We use sonar to map the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean floor. We've basically built tools to let us hear this invisible world of sound, and it's led to some incredible technology.
So I guess the big takeaway here is that sound is so much more than just the noises that reach our eardrums. It's a fundamental physical force. It's energy moving through the world, shaping everything from technology to nature, both in ways we can see and, more importantly, in ways we can't.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We're constantly surrounded by this whole symphony of sounds that are too high or too low for us to notice. So just imagine, what might we discover? What secrets of the universe might we learn if we could suddenly hear that entire full spectrum of sound that's happening all around us all the time? Thanks for tuning in.